Hi, my name is Alyssa, and today I am doing a discussion on why I think marijuana should be legalized federally. Do you want to take a hit, or does the thought of marijuana make you want to relax or to recoil? The debate as to whether marijuana should become a federally legalized substance in the United States is one that has attracted much debate over a course of decades. In my experience, I've seen the good and the bad sides of marijuana usage. In my lifetime, I've seen friends who've benefited from marijuana, who've used it to treat seizures, to treat their depression, and to treat pain in a form of CBD and THC implemented creams and pills, and I've seen it almost abused in a manner recreationally as people who smoke every day as a replacement to psychoactive drugs that they might need. However, I believe the legalization of marijuana would be overall beneficial, including the economic benefits, the social benefits, and the medicinal benefits of it. First, I'll be discussing the economic benefits of marijuana, then I'll be discussing the social benefits, including law enforcement related benefits, and then I'll be discussing the medicinal benefits of the legalization of marijuana. According to a journal article called Marijuana Legalization, the Impact on Physicians and Public Health, published in the Annual Review of Medicine in publication since 1950, which covers significant developments in various fields of medicine, headed by Samuel A. Ball of the National Center of Addiction and Substance Abuse at Columbia University. Legalization of marijuana federally could result in employment of more workers who could grow and package marijuana for sale in government-funded grow-ops. Now, we might view marijuana as something bad, but if you were to legalize it and put it into the economy, as shown in states like Washington, Colorado, California, Nevada, and Oregon, the economic benefits they are reaping them. The tax revenue, they have earned millions. According to an article, marijuana is getting cheaper, and for some states that's a problem, from the Washington Post by Keith Humphreys, who is a professor of psychiatry at Stanford University. Wholesale marijuana prices are dropping at insane rates in states that have legalized it. And while that could be good, it is also making it cheaper for the consumer to buy and making the tax collection rate lower on it. How we can combat that is by changing the rate of how we charge for marijuana, and by charging it by pound and not by the pound amount of it, not just the general amount of it. I apologize. If we were to charge for marijuana by the pound rather than by a different gauge, we'd be able to gauge the amount of taxes we could collect on it, and therefore those taxes collected on the marijuana could be given back to the community and could be used to fund education for marijuana-based education, as well as it's going towards anything, towards nature, towards parks, towards law enforcement, towards anything. And now to turn to the social aspect of marijuana and why we should legalize it. According to the FBI Unified Crime Statistics released by the FBI, the Domestic Intelligence and Security Service of the United States, and the Provincial and Prominent Federal Law Enforcement Agency, marijuana accounts for 4% of sale and manufacturing drug crime and nearly 40% of possession and use drug crime arrests in 2018. 40%. Now, marijuana to me and to many studies have shown that marijuana is not a harmful drug by itself. Marijuana by itself is not harmful, and to use funding for the war on drugs, which is supposed to be towards harder drugs like cocaine, heroin, bath salts, and other hard drugs, putting marijuana under the same microscope as those is a waste of funding. And we could use those funds and those inmates who are being wrongfully put into jail towards better funding and save that money towards different things. And the legalization of it would reduce the amount of crime, because if it were legalized, then that's 40% of the crime that is now reduced. And as well as if we were to fund it economically and put more money into education towards marijuana and towards research, we could put more money into studies on the effects of marijuana on people, both on a social level and on a medicinal level, and that would help tell people how is the best way to go about using marijuana and use it in the safest way possible. Just like how we have funding for alcohol. And alcohol causes a lot of problems and causes aggression, while marijuana does not cause the same problems that alcohol does. Actually, according to an article of How Safe is Recreational Marijuana Published in Scientific American, an American popular science magazine, in January 2015 by Roseanne Kazemi, a scientific and editor and writer whose work on biomedical sciences has spanned over 20 years, over hundreds of publications around the world, found that the mortality risk associated with marijuana is approximately 140 times less of that of alcohol, which is legal, which you could buy at any corner store and has been shown to be abused by kids just as much more so than that of marijuana. And that's legal. And the matter is that even if marijuana is not legalized, it's still the easiest acquired drug in the world by far. And people are going to get on their hands on it, whether it is legalized or whether it is not. It's a matter of it being legalized that we can get enough funding into it to educate ourselves onto why we should or shouldn't be using it, how it counterbalances with other drugs or substances that are in our system, including alcohol. I believe that marijuana should be under the same jurisdiction as alcohol is. We should still not be able to smoke and drive. We should still be under the same rules, and there should be laws in place with it being federally legalized that we could implement. According to a 2020 article named The Health and Social Effects of Non-Medical Cannabis Use by the World Health Organization, which is a specialized agency of the United Nations responsible for international public health, established in 1948, said the adverse health and social consequences of cannabis use were reported by cannabis users who seek treatments for depression are less severe than those reported by alcohol and opioid-dependent persons. I apologize. So it shows that those using cannabis undergo a less severe withdrawal rate and less severe depression rate than those who are undergoing alcohol and opioid-dependent symptoms. If we were to implement marijuana-based programs, even to taper off from opioid-dependent programs, it has shown in studies that it is a lot healthier to put people under marijuana than it is to put under alcohol or opioid, which are much more addictive and have much more long-term consequences that have been studied over a long range of time than of marijuana. Now, to end my medical part of this, the study from the National, and I cannot pronounce this word, I apologize, National Epidemiological Study of Alcohol Use and Related Disorders, a study of 43,000 participants, which covered alcohol, drugs, and psychiatric disorders, risk factors, and their consequences, conducted by doctors from the New York Psychiatric Institute, showed that marijuana use during the first wave of the study were more likely than adults who did not use marijuana. I apologize, I'll start that over. In this study, it showed that people who use marijuana to counterbalance opioid addictions found that they were able to taper off from the opioid and alcohol addictions than those who tapered off without the help of marijuana. Marijuana can be a very good assistant in helping people treat addiction and help them go into a more healthy or holistic, better of the two evils, per se. Now, to wrap it up, do we want to take a hit? From my perspective, yes. I think the federal legalization of marijuana would be super helpful to our community. It would benefit the economy, and with proper education and research on it, we could put marijuana under the same legislation and rules that alcohol goes under, that prescription drugs go under. We could use driver's license to gauge how much people use. We could do more studies on how it affects youth brains and how it affects psychiatric disorders and how it affects alcohol use and other drug usage and how bad it is compared to those. With legal funding and with overall legalization and a close eye from a federal level, we could use marijuana to help funding, to help people, and to help the community, and it would be so beneficial. So to that, yes, I will take a hit, and I'll pass it around because all of us need to know a little more information about it before taking assumptions about marijuana. Thank you.